What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Steve's Project Car Garage. My name is Steve. So today we're back out in the garage. Finally, got things kind of cooled down out here. It's, fake fall in Florida. But I had the AC running because, it's still pretty warm out. And today we're going to be working on the engine. Trying to get the engine at least buttoned up and ready to get put into the chassis. I was hoping to put into the chassis by now, but, life happens and things happen. So not a big deal. But so we have the oil pan we got to put on. I got to put seal on that and gasket and all that jazz. Getting that buttoned up. I'm gonna roll it over. Gonna do the timing chain cover. Get that done. And just see where it takes us from there. Ideally, I would like to have everything at least sealed up to the point where I can go ahead and put it into the car. So that way now it is together and with the transmission connected, which would be awesome. And then I can just start doing the last little bits, like putting on the alternator, the water pump put on, and all the other stuff. So stick around, grab yourself a cup of jitter juice, which is mine's right here, and we'll talk to you in a minute. Stick around. All right, so the shop is a total mess. It's better than it was before though, but the engine is not. The engine is in good shape. So what I've done here is I rotated the engine on over, and I have cleaned this down. I first wiped it down first to get any residual oil off. And then I used some denatured alcohol to then wipe it down again. And then I used some Prep-All to go ahead and actually clean it up one more time. So I'm pretty happy with how clean this is. And I did the same to the actual oil pan itself. Here's the oil pan. And I just did the edge. I didn't do anything in here. But I did wipe it up. And it's nice and clean in there. So the deal is, what I'm hoping is that this is going to be enough Permatex Ultra Black. I'm going to put a thin bead around here, going around all the bolt holes, like an 1/8 inch thick, maybe thinner. And then I'm going to put the gasket on, put it on the gasket, and then actually I'll probably put it onto the pan itself. I'm not sure. Figure that out. And then get this down. We'll hand tighten everything, give it an hour, and then we will then be able to torque it. So let's get that started, because honestly, I don't want to have a leaky engine. I know it's a British car, and that is the way it's supposed to be. But I really don't want to have a leaky engine. So let's get cracking. All right, let's do this. So it says 1/16 to a 1/4 inch size. So I'm kind of just try to go right in the middle, and it says to go around the bolt holes. So we'll do that and see what happens.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
All right, so I got the gasket sealer put on here, the RTV Ultra Black, and not RTV, the Permatex Ultra Black. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. Just going to put a small smear around here, and then we should be good to go to place the pan on, and then we'll just hand tighten it and go from there. So see you in a moment. All right, time to go ahead and put this on. Fingers crossed for the one and only time. All right, excellent. Let me go ahead and get some bolts in, get it hand tight, and go from there. All right, so I got these done hand tight. It's been about an hour, and so now what I need to do is just go through and get these all down to 16 foot-pounds. One thing I did notice though is that the bolts that I have for the front oil sealing block were incorrect. So this front oil sealing block, if you remember, had helicoils in it, and it looks like they have a coarse thread as opposed to the fine thread. So I'm just going to have to do what I can for the time being. I'm not going to be able to torque these down because I don't have a bolt that will work for it. I'm going to have to go to the hardware store. But I think that with the torque from everything else, I think we should be fine, and I shouldn't really worry about it. And I can go to the store tomorrow and get those. So I got my torque wrench at the 16 foot-pounds, so let's just get going. I'm just gonna kind of go around first and get these a little tight. Now let's go to 16. Let's just get our clicks out of it. $16 ain't all that much, but it's all you need. Sweet. All right, so the oil pan's all done. I went ahead and I got another bolt, or 2 bolts actually, from the hardware store. Got those put in. Everything's honky-dory. So I went ahead and I dropped in the gear for the distributor, or the Dizzy, and I just wanted to make sure everything's good. So I made sure the engine's at top dead center, the dots are all pointing at each other, and that the Dizzy has the angle of it kind of pointing off this way towards cylinder number 1. So I think we are good in that shape. Next thing that we're going to go ahead and do, though, is get on a new timing cover. I went ahead and I replaced the front main seal here, and the old one was super hard, but getting this new one in was really easy. I just honestly used some hand pressure and just pressed it in with the aid of a small block of wood to just keep it center. So we got a new gasket. Got to get this timing degree wheel off. Once we get that off, we should be able to go ahead and put this in. And, oh yeah, put a new tensioner in too. So let's get this set up and get you on a tripod and get cracking. All right, so getting ready to put this back together. And I had to go check some previous video to find out which direction this oil flinger faced. Because in the book, it shows it facing this way with the concave side inward, which I guess kind of makes sense. But when I took it apart in the video, it shows the concave side facing outward. So I'm going to try to do some more digging real quick, just because I want to make sure this is going on the right way. And then we're going to go ahead and get this guy with some gasket sealer on there and the paper gasket and get it closed up. All right, yay for old documentation. So the picture is really kind of difficult to see, but so the dished portion, I don't know if you're really going to be able to see this here on camera, but it is dished. So the dished portion needs to actually be facing outward. So when I disassembled it, it was correct. Did you notice that I forgot something here? I forgot to fold these guys over. So I got to go ahead and just check my torque on these real quick, and then go ahead and fold the locking tabs over. So I'm going to do that super fast, and then we're going to go ahead and work on getting this guy closed up. All right, now for the fun part. Trying to get this on, A, without making a big mess of the ultra black that I've got on, but B, while getting the tensioner here, right there, to actually sit on the chain. Now the manual says to go at it and put it on from an angle. I'm not sure, I guess, like that maybe? To try just get it. I don't want to get a bunch of schmutz on the chain like I just did. This is difficult to really try to get on. There we go. And now to try to get the gasket to be like lined up. A lot of fiddly moving around the stuff to try and get everything to line up, but there we go. All right, sweet. Got that on there. Let me get this cleaned up, and then we're gonna go ahead and tighten the screws to be just hand tight like before. We'll give it an hour, and then we will torque it down. All right, so on these, there's a number of, well, there's really 3 different kinds of pieces of hardware that you're going to have. You're going to have these little short flathead screws, and then you're going to have more of these bolts. And so when looking at this, it looks like we go from the nut right there, which is just the threaded nut that's on the actual block that comes out, to one of the bolts here. And then for the parts that go into the engine plate, this part here, it looks like we're just using the flatheads. So I'll do flathead, 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 and then bolt, bolt, and then there's another flathead actually labeled as D, which is a short screw. So we need to actually double check on that, see which one's the shortest. And then we go bolt, bolt, bolt. So that's what we got. I got to try to figure this on out. I got all the screws here, and I can't tell which one's the short one because they're all the same length. So I don't think that there's a short screw according to the manual. It's supposed to be here. That could be just on older models. But here's what I got. And I know I got a couple other bolts over there. So let me get started with putting these on. And I will check in with you in just a few. All right, so we got this on. This is all now tightened down. And we did 10 foot-pounds for all the slotted screws, and then we did 16 foot-pounds for all the bolts. So we're looking pretty decent. Now I'm going to pause for the night, but the next step is going to be to go ahead and get the pulley put on and then get the nut on. And we'll probably wrap it on this video because that's going to be the bulk of it. And yeah, go from there. All right, so the next thing that is up, now that we've got the timing cover on, is getting the pulley on. I went ahead and I gave it some paint on either side just to kind of make it look nice. But I did not paint this top part because the timing marks are all here. You can barely see them. I don't know if I can maybe get that to focus on them. But this side was completely masked by a bunch of just grit and grime. I knew that this part was here, but so I just kind of cleaned this up with a wire brush. So I can see the marks, which is great. But we should be able to just slide this guy on. Should be. And then we're going to use the nut to just kind of seat it. Now, I have to put this at 150 foot-pounds, which I am not sure I'm going to be able to do all of it on the stand. I kind of think that this is probably going to involve something a little bigger, or a way to be able to kind of block the crank from turning. And, well, my torque wrench also only goes to 150 foot-pounds. So I'm curious to see how this is going to work. I have a couple of ideas that kind of involve kind of, you know, putting some bolts into the back of the actual crank itself and then, you know, putting something in there to kind of pry it. But I don't know, just something to kind of lock it in place. But that's what we're doing here. Let's see if I can actually get my torque wrench to 150. There it is, it's at 150. Let's see if we can make this work. I doubt I'm going to get even close to 150, but yeah, see, the engine just wants to turn. So, a couple of things that I could do. One of the things I was told is I could take some rope and put some rope down into one of the spark plug holes and use that as a way to kind of stop the piston from moving. Might do that, but I might also explore something over here on the back and utilizing, you know, a bolt or two, you can't really see, into the crank though, and see if I could maybe make it wedge. But let me play around with this and I'll get back with you. All right, I think I figured it out. So I got this great big band strap that I can use to push leverage on. I tried it earlier and I got 80 foot-pounds, so I'm going to see if I can just now get it to 100. I'll show you how it works. Okay, that worked. All right, so I guess we're just gonna go for 150. Well, I can't get 150. Let's see if I can back it down a little bit. That might just be because my torque wrench is at its max. So let's see if I can get a click out of 130. Nope, I don't want to bend things, so shoot. There we go. Okay, well that was 130. I think we'll go to 140 and we'll just call it a day. Let's see if we can do 140. Nope. 140 is just not gonna happen. Well, I think 130 might be it. Maybe once I get the engine on and I get the drive shaft connected and I get it all hooked up, maybe I can get that extra 20 foot-pounds. But I think for right now, we're just gonna leave it right where we are at and call it a day. All right, that's gonna do it. So a couple of things. I did go back and I took the cover off and I did fold over the locking tabs. That was definitely something that I needed to do. So that's taken care of. I just didn't do it on camera. But that's going to be where I'm going to wrap up this video. I actually have the water pump ready to go on, the Dizzy ready to go on. Fuel pump needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but that's all ready to go on. But I really want to get this video in the can and up to you guys because it's been 3 weeks. So I'm going to wrap it here, and then I'm going to knock out the rest of that stuff and maybe just make another quick video on it. But I need to mount the alternator too, and that's going to take a little figuring out because it is not an alternator for this. It is a Kubota alternator for Kubota tractor. But it should hopefully bolt up. But we'll find out soon. So anyways, this is me just reminding you to make sure that you go ahead and fold over those locking tabs and make sure you tighten up your crank and your cam and don't be that dreaded previous owner. Cheers.